Learning in itself is a relatively permanent change in behavior that is brought about by experience. We humans adapt to our environment. We learn to expect and prepare for significant events, such as food or pain, and that's classical conditioning. We learn to repeat acts that bring rewards and avoid acts that brings unwanted results. That's operant conditioning. We learn new behaviors by observing events and people. And through language, we learn things we have neither experienced nor observed. That's cognitive learning. But how do we learn? How do we know when a behavior has been influenced by learning, or even as a result of learning? Part of the answer relates to the nature-nurture question, one of the fundamental issues underlying the field of psychology. In the acquisition of behaviors, experience, which is essential to the definition of learning, is the nature part of the nature-nurture question. However, it's not always easy to identify whether a change in behavior is due to nature or nurture, because some changes in behavior or performance come about through maturation alone and don't involve experience. For instance, children become better tennis players as they grow older, partly because their strength increases with their size, a maturational phenomenon. To understand when learning has occurred, we must differentiate maturational changes from improvements resulting from practice, which indicate that learning actually has occurred. Similarly, short-term changes in behavior that are due to factors other than learning, such as declines in performance resulting from fatigue or lack of effort, are different from performance changes that are due to actual learning. If Serena Williams has a bad day on the tennis court because of tension or fatigue, this does not mean that she has not learned to play correctly or has unlearned how to play well. Because there is not always a one-to-one correspondence between learning and performance, understanding when true learning has occurred is difficult. It is clear that we are primed for learning from the beginning of life. Infants exhibit a simple type of learning called habituation, which is the decrease in response to a stimulus that occurs after repeated representations of the same stimulus. For example, young infants may initially show interest in a novel stimulus, such as brightly colored toys, but they will soon lose interest if they see the same toy over and over again. Habituation permits us to ignore things that have stopped providing new information. Most learning is considerably more complex than habituation, and the study of learning has been at the core of the field of psychology. Although philosophers since the time of Aristotle have speculated on the foundations of learning, the first systematic research on learning was done at the beginning of the 20th century when Ivan Pavlov developed the framework for learning called classical conditioning.